Hey, welcome to My Life Continues Every podcast. This is episode 10 of season 3, and I'm glad we made it to this episode. I have another guest today, and this is also somebody who I've known, for a very long time. And just hold on. Just wait for the break. After the break, I'll tell you what's up.
My life. Now, my life will continue every day.
My life continues every day.
Well, my life continues every day.
We move.
My life continues every day with Amanda Elu.
Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Cha from Capsule FM in Nairobi, Kenya, and you're listening to My Life Continues Everyday podcast with Amanda Elo.
All right, this is still My Life Continues Everyday podcast. I'm Amanda Elo, your usual host, your usual moderator. I think who sounds better. I'm having this headache, serious headache in my head, because I'm recording this on the day before, shots. This is the day Onyeka Onwenu of Africa, of Nigeria, was announced dead. This woman is an icon. I don't like to use was. She's in the arts and entertainment industry. We often use is because we believe that people like this never die, just like in literature and all of that. So I believe her art is not dead, and so she's not dead. I pray her soul rests in peace. I don't know. I wish Nigeria the best. This year has been something else, but it's fine. It's also been wonderful for some people and for me too. But I can tell you that categorically, I've lost a lot. In short, I've seen people die, people who you would never expect die. And it just, kept me wondering throughout this morning, because my dad came into the room and he was like, Omo, whenever it's your turn, you just leave. And my mom was like, what's the meaning of that statement this morning? What happened? She knew it was a death announcement he came to make, because that's how we have conversations. My dad just comes in and he just throws something and we start having conversations. And then my mom said, what's that? And then he said, Onyeka Onwenu, and then he explained everything. And, when he finished, I felt bad. I screamed, and then I said, I think this thing could be anyone, anytime. This is a thing we know, right? But it's becoming clearer. It's becoming real to me. In fact, I lost somebody this year, and I didn't ever believe that person would die anytime soon. And I was just telling people that this is the end of an era, as far as I'm concerned. And then a lot of things are happening. Well, we, the children of God, we believe that with the wars, with the everything going on, that God is in control, and these things, were foretold. Also, this could actually be a natural phenomenon, but the truth is, I'm not gonna lie, I've lost so many close people, and then people I admire who probably are not related to me. This is the same week where we lost, I think it was just last week, we lost a certain, politician in Anambra State. I don't want to go on and on, but it's just, it's scary, really. It could be you, it could be me, anytime. I'm not wishing nobody death, but I think this is the point where we tell ourselves, whatever it is we're doing right now, please make sure it's worth it. Any malice you want, and if you decide you want to keep malice now, make sure it is worth it. That if anything happens, you're ready to go, meet your maker, not talking to that person you're keeping malice with. Whatever you're having now with anybody, make sure it is worth it. The friendship, the relationship, is it worth it? Is this person wasting because it could be anybody. Okay, fine. Let me not put the fear and frenzy in anybody's mind. It's just I've been thinking about it. But God be praised. We appreciate him. And while we're still living, let's make the best out of life. And like I would always say, my life continues every day. I'm going to try my best to do what I can so that if I'm no longer here, you all will listen to this podcast and say, oh, at least she there was an impact, positive one. And so today, again, talking about impacts, the things that people have done and how we can affect other people. We have this person in the house, my guest. She's also in the USA, and she's going to be talking about something that has affected, to an extent, her relationship with others to an extent. So she's going to talk about it. And when she told me about it, honestly, it came to me. I'm not really a victim per se, but I think I've seen it play out in some people's life. And I think let's have this conversation so that people who do not know that they are doing this to somebody, or people who are actually a product of this, would understand where and when or where they can get their help, or what to start looking out for. Because if you know what the problem is, you begin to know how to solve it. Okay, I sound very formal. I'm so sorry. I'm still in that mood of why are people dying? God. Anyway,
We're all there.
hello.
We're all at that phase where we're like, what's going on? People are dying.
Honestly, too
We're all
much.
there. We're all
And you know
there.
the
So
worst part is
I
these are
heard about
people
it
you have.
this morning. As I woke up,
Oh
my
yeah,
mom told me about it. I was like, oh my God. Was she
I
sick? And
mean,
my mom was like, she supposedly she went to
for an
like to
event.
sing at an event. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my God. She lived in the spotlight and she took a bow in the
She's
spotlight.
in the spotlight. Exactly what I
She
told
did
somebody. She
it.
died doing what she
She
loved doing, I believe.
exactly. Another very close person of mine. I just heard she died yesterday. I was like, Mom, what's going on? And then my
Oh
mom
my
told me
God, I'm so
the same
sorry about
person that
that.
gives her this information is one woman. And I'm like, you should stop picking her calls because every time she calls you, she's
Child,
telling you somebody has
she's
died.
telling about death. Harbinger of new. It's not even her
It's
fault.
the
It's
the
really
one I heard
sad.
yesterday really touched me because this woman
I'm
was
so
really
sorry.
instrumental to me in when I was in undergrad. And when my mom
Mm.
told me how she died, before my mom told me how she died, I was like, she's a praying woman. Ah, like she's a
Hey,
hardworking praying woman. So when my mom told me
yeah,
that she was sick and then they took her to the hospital 2 days, and that on the hospital
just two
bed she was
days.
speaking in tongue when she gave up the ghost. I was like,
Oh,
what?
wow,
What? Nah. And she was so
wow.
young. I was like, what is going
Oh, I'm
on?
so sorry about
What's
this.
happening? What's happening? And
What's
like you
happening
said,
indeed?
everything, whatever you're doing right now has to be worth it. Your friendships, your
That's it. Mm-hmm.
relationships, your
Uh-huh.
decisions. I
Uh-huh.
tell people you have to be ready to meet your maker like it was
At
tomorrow.
any time. True.
Make your ways right ASAP and be ready to meet your maker like it was tomorrow. Live your
Yeah,
life like tomorrow is going to end because
true.
you don't even know. It's scary, but it's actually good to be ready. It's good to be ready. And it's just sad, honestly. It's sad. It's really sad. Well,
Really,
we're
really
here, we're
sad.
alive, and we pray that our journey on earth will not be in vain and
In vain.
we'll be
Amen.
rapturable with Christ Jesus in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Our lives continue every day for those who are alive. And so, speaking short, there's so much I want to share on this podcast today. So many things happening around me, especially to some people I really care about, but I can't. I'm not at liberty to say them because it's not my story to tell. But all I can say is things are really tough. But well, God is good. And if you can help anybody around you as much as you can, please go ahead and do it because it's really tough. It is really tough, man. I don't know, but let's just go straight to what we have today. Okay, girl. Um, tell me about it. Go ahead and tell us that your story. Tell me whether it's event, whatever it is, it's time. Just point all out. I'm just gonna listen, and I think everybody would listen. And once again, thank you so much for coming to this show. I should have said that first because this is a big deal for you, I know. Well, guys, this is a big person in the house again. I don't know this episode, this season,
I'm
carrying
a
the big
Jesus
people.
baby, Amanda. I'm a small girl. Please.
The big God, like I tell people all the time, with a big God. I'm happy.
Yes, sir.
I'm I'm happy. I'm happy you're here. I really, really am glad you're here. So let's have your story, girl.
First off, this has been a long time coming. We've been postponing and postponing and postponing, and I want to say I'm sorry for that because my schedule is
Indeed. No, it's okay.
extremely busy.
Tired. I
Okay,
know.
but
I
I feel like this is an expose that is not really talked about that much. But this generation pastors, they've started addressing things like that. But we need people to speak more on this simply because in the hammer has been slamming on one direction for so long right now that they've forgotten that the rod is long. Okay, you can't just, if you want the perfect shape, you can't just be hitting in one spot exactly all the time. So, this is an expose and a mini rant at the same time because I have asked majority of my female friends, and they have always been that phase where they felt like their mom didn't like them. Most of them like, yeah, I used to feel that way, but we're over it. I'm like, yeah, okay, it's a general something. So what I want to rant and expose is the effect of maternal traumas on the boy child and the girl child. and
Do you
how
know this could make for a whole research? Like, I love how
it,
you just pointed it out. Please say it again. I've been keeping quiet because I don't want to interrupt you. This is such, like, I want to learn today on my podcasts. I know this is you sharing a story, but it's sounding to me like it's going to be so intellectual, and
it is
yeah, you call it
actually.
an expose.
It took
Expository is
me
going to, yeah.
it took me 3 years of, because I'm in therapy, been in therapy for 3 years now. It took me 3 years of therapy to finally start seeing things from the perspective of core. How do people bring about their core belief system, their core value system? How do they bring, and it stems from nurturing mothers. Yes, fathers have a role to play. Absolutely. It's good for the girl child, but mothers too. So, like you said, I should say it again. So the effect of maternal traumas on the boy child and the girl child, and its impact on today's relationship, friendships, marriages. I think we have so far so good in the past decades and decades, and in fact, the mothers before the mothers before the mothers, we have somehow eliminated its impact on the boy child as well as the girl child, and how they show up in our everyday interaction. So I'm going to start from mine. It's easier to, how did the Bible say it? Remove the speck from your eyes before you see. So I'm going to talk about my story. I come from a family of 5, 6. Are we 5 or are we 6? No, I have 4 siblings. I'm the 5th one, by the way. So, and then it's 3 boys and 2 girls. And I can boldly say I was, because my dad is late, I was a daddy's girl. My sister and I were, there was the mom's boy,
Sorry
and then there was
about
the
that.
dad's girl. It's been a while now. In as much as we have turned up, it's been a while. Jesus is our father, darling. We're not lacking here because Jesus is our daddy. So back to what I was saying.
Thank God for that. Yeah, go on.
Back to what I was saying. Growing up, my mom was a mom's boy, and my dad was a girl's dad. We would have a whole lot of comebacks and arguments, and my dad was a military man, so he would have this court system, and he would let everybody line up and state your case, argue your case through. And I was one of those children. I was very factual. I pray, I analyze it in the exact words I wanted to be said in. I was one of those children that I liked saying things as they were. I did not understand. It was either black or white for me. I did not understand the gray factor. Even as an adult right now, some things are just facts and some things are just action. So it was more like when my dad would line up my brothers and line up his daughters, and then my brothers would be arguing, oh, she did this to me, this, and then I would go, but daddy, this thing that he's saying I did to him this week, last week, he did the exact same thing to me, and we did not have any arguments. Mom told me to keep quiet and endure and compromise and sacrifice. How come mom is not telling him to keep quiet and endure and compromise and sacrifice? Are these value systems that are just for me alone and my sister? What about the boys? What value systems are you giving to them? You get? And my father would keep quiet. And my father would ask my brother and say, did you do this to her last week? And then my brother would say, he was just playing. And then I would clap back and say, me too, I'm just playing this week. Since we want to go that way. Growing up, everybody thought I would be a lawyer because I was more of those people that I would pick your actions and I would call it. I would say, well, you did this and you did this and you said this and I didn't react. So how come I'm doing the exact same thing to you and you don't like it? And I think that actually helped me be this person I am today, because I am a practical Christian. I practice my Christianity. I practice it. So it stemmed, that personality I had growing up gave rise to who I am today. Because I couldn't understand why it is okay for you to do certain things to people, especially men. It is okay for men to do things to women. But somehow, if the roles are reversed, it's a different ballgame. Why? Why did gender bring about the change in judgment? Do you get? So I I noticed that the value system being passed on to us as kids was different for the ladies and for the guys. And I didn't understand why. Because, hello, don't you want us to be good people in general? You get? My mom couldn't, my mom did not see my brothers as, my brothers could do no wrong at home. Never. They are always right. Tomorrow women would serve them. And I'll be like, okay. Does that mean they shouldn't be good people because somebody would serve them? So it was as if, and bear in mind when these conversations were flying out, and I think all mothers have done this to their children. So I don't know. Why are
maybe for anyway, go on, it's your story. I'm not supposed to go in here. Go on.
Fine, maybe you can come in the end later.
No, because I don't know about all mothers doing that. I'm an only child. I didn't get this. It was the opposite here. Yes, my parents were basically on me. They wanted me to be good. You got to do this. But I understand the part where mothers and their daughters have their issues, right? But in my own case, I think it was because my mom.
You would. Yes, is this how you would do your husband's house?
There was that
all
thing.
this wise conversations like these are happening when I had not even seen my period. How come they were instilling the sense of servitude when I had not even conformed my sense of self?
Yeah.
I hadn't formed my sense of self, but you were already at the base. They were already at the base of formation, putting that servitude in there. Nobody has a problem serving.
I'm so glad we're having this conversation because I mean it's been on and people are beginning to learn. I think it's because they didn't know any better, even for the educated ones.
Exactly.
Right?
I'm coming
they had
to that
their
point
mothers,
where
just like you said.
They were hammered.
Yeah.
That's why I said from the mothers before the mothers before the mothers. The hammer has been slammed on just one side alone. That somehow through the transition of centuries and they forgot that marriage and relationships, partnerships, lifetime friendships, it's a two-way
It takes two to tango. True.
It takes two. So you cannot, all through the years, have built a streamline, a plethora of women that, okay, these women are perfect right now. But somehow marriages are still not working. Why? And somehow you've been hammering the nail, the rod, the hot rod. You've been hitting it in one spot, and then you're complaining that the iron is bent when you didn't bother hitting the other side. And that is how I grew up. I grew up in a household where girls sacrifice, compromise, do everything good. Boys, do whatever you want. The women would serve you and blah 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 blah. And
did it have an effect on your brothers? Can you say it
affected them? It did. It had tons of effect, tons and tons of effect. It had an effect in terms of friendship. It had an effect in terms of relationship. It had effect in terms of personal view, like sense of self-worth and respect. It had a sense of personal view of having this sense of self-respect and self-worth. Because I grew up thinking for you to be a kind and good person, you have to be serving someone. You have to be kind to someone. You have to serve them so they can be good to you. You get? It was really, really hard growing up in that environment. It was hard to argue because I am still a zero confrontational person unless you push me to the end. And people shouldn't get to that corner of the wall before they confront. Sometimes there's something called healthy confrontation. I learned that in therapy. There's something called healthy confrontation. It's not an argument. You just sit down and you have conversations with them. You discuss your boundaries and you outline them. But because I was coming out from a household like that, even when I wasn't comfortable doing things, because I was groomed to do things even when I don't want to, I had zero or no boundaries. Then I would complain in my heart and be like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. But if you want me to do it, it's fine. I don't want to do it, but if you want me to do it, I'm just gonna do it. Let peace reign. Oh, that was oh Lord. That was my mom's favorite line. Let peace reign. You do it so peace will reign. I'm like, peace where? There is chaos within me, but I am giving peace out there. Like, come on. Is there a way peace can reign without me sacrificing myself? So I grew up thinking I would have to sacrifice myself for peace to reign over and over and over and over and over again. And when you come out from a place like that, you look at your sense of self-worth is depreciated, because you're like, if you cannot respect yourself enough to have boundaries and talk about things you don't want to do, how do you expect people to respect you? I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So I grew up in a household where my mom focused on making the best of girls ever, which she did, because my sister and I, we are the best there is, which she did. And as much as I'm in therapy and I'm working through it, she did her best. I cannot say the same about my brothers. I cannot. I love them. I pray for them every day, but oh Lord, they are nothing to write home about.
Yeah, it's very important to quickly say this. It's your story, right? But I just wanted to let the person who's listening understand that why, in fact, I was interested in this topic, right? Because it's like she said, is an expose. Apart from her telling her story, it's the fact that she's actually looking out for also the man. This is not a crucifying, or crucifixion conversation. She's trying to say, I think what you were trying to say is that initially it may seem like the girls are the ones being martyred, of course, because it would reduce some people's sense of worth. I know my mom did it in a very healthy way, and I'm not trying to paint her good. I know the parts where we had issues, and while I'm growing and I'm learning, which is what a lot of us should do, unlearn small mistakes, because these humans were our parents, but they were not perfect, right? But the thing I'm getting from what you're saying is, while the girl has been trained to become a better person,
what happens to the boy?
Even though she doesn't even want to do some of the things that she was asked to do, and she's managing them. Good for all of us. The peace is reigning now for the girls. But then for the man who has not been you paid attention to, he would eventually become wild and entitled and think he can do anything he wants to do, and this will cause problems for him.
Basically the concept of training girls to be wives, but not training boys to be
other person. Yeah. Which I think a lot of people often miss when they talk, right? Some people say you should have if a boy grows without a father, there's a problem there. I don't know why they said it. I'm not a boy and I have a father, so I don't know. I still do not understand why they said what they said. But I also have seen a place where a mother pays attention to her boy children. I've seen them, and they turn out respectful. They respect.
Men that have that attention. Oh my God.
And what I've also learned
you can tell they have moms, they have sisters, and they are respectful,
and they are
responsible, they are emotionally intelligent because their mothers took time to teach them, okay, this is how you treat a woman.
Not in a manipulative way. You treat me, the mother, as the queen, then treat other women as anything.
Not in a controlling way, because sometimes most mothers want to control their boys. And so basically they're like, okay, I'm going to bring the girl, and then because the girl has to be my friend before my son will start doing all of that. Not in a controlling way, but they have this sense of intelligence, responsibility, emotional insights. I believe it is the role of the mother to give that to her son, to mentor her
all her
son
children, as a matter of fact.
Children in general. She's also doing that for the girls, but she's doing that for the boys too. And then these days I see a whole lot of men, they tie their value system to have money. They go statements like this. They go, once you have money, you can get any woman you want. And then these same men, bear in mind, I have done the algorithm. I'm a tech babe. Bear in mind, I've done the algorithm, okay? I have run through it. I have used Kafka. I've streamlined Twitter streams. I've done, and I sat down that day. I did it last summer, and it was amazing. These same men that have tied their entire value system to just having money still complain that women are gold diggers. All she wants is my money. Excuse me, Mr. Man, all you presented to her as your person was money. All you told her you were is money. So how come now she's seeing you as what you have put on the table? I'm not kind, I'm not this, I just have money, And then you wake up and you're complaining that, oh, all she sees is my money. That is because their fathers their fathers passed on to them the notion of, as a man, you have to be financially responsible for your household. Nobody's taking that away from them. It's a good thing that you are, as the head of the home, you should be. God is the provider, and then you revert to God to direct you, because according to the Bible, he says, man, love your wife as Christ loves the church. Okay? So know that you are the bridge between Jireh, which is our provider, and your household. Good and fine. Nobody's taking that from you. But there is more to being the head of your household outside financial responsibility. You cannot
Okay,
say,
so let me comment. Yeah.
Okay.
Go on, just finish there. Finish that line.
You cannot say because you're financially responsible, every other thing should be gone. There are 5 major factors when it comes to, according to what I've learned in therapy, there are 5 major factors when it comes to being with a woman and having a family. Number 1, financial security. Good and fine. May not be number 1, maybe number 5. Number 2, spiritual security. Number 3, emotional security. Number 4, psychological security. And number 5, support. You have to be that back. Men have to check, men that are grooming, because you would have daughters, you would have sons. You want to pass this on. You don't want a no good man tomorrow to come and take care and manhandle your daughter. You would carry gun and shoot them. You don't want that. So because you don't want that, you instill what you should pass down. But somehow, along the line, we've lost it. We have lost it.
I think we have, and I think I just wanted to come in here. There was that thing I was going to say then, but I'm glad you mentioned these 5 factors. I didn't even know them before now, because I mean, some of these people, yes, I remember. So there's this Twitter conversation that I moderate every Sunday, and there is this man. He's a speaker. He's one of the persons that I admire, right, because of what he says. Some people might call, I don't know what people call simps. I don't know what people call simps and what they don't call simps. But
I know what they call simps. You know what they call simps?
This is sarcasm. But anyways, you can explain.
It is sarcastic too.
This is me being sarcastic, because that man is respectful. He's respectable. His personality is respectable. Now, this is something he keeps saying. He says, the boy child is not given formation. I think maybe that's where they talk about a boy having their father, because maybe when the mother talks at some point, they might think she's a woman, which is still a problem.
Zero formation. The only formation they are giving is just make money, give your wife
a lot of money, and
buy everything she wants. That's it.
Yeah.
And all. I'm like,
that is.
What are you guys doing?
Fair.
You are not helping these boys. You're not helping them become men.
Indeed.
Because being a man is more than just having money. It is more than that. It is a whole lot more. And then you see the mother raising her girl child, and she's completely oblivious to the boy growing alongside the girl. She's oblivious to the fact that I'm supposed to teach this boy how to be emotionally intelligent. Because women are emotional beings and men are logical beings. That is on period. A man has to learn to be emotionally intelligent, because by default he is a logical being. Ones and zeros.
Let me take you out a bit. Because this is amazing. I mean, we could have like a round table around this over and over again, and I would even love to invite a man to have this conversation. But then again, I just don't want us to slip away from, what this podcast is about. And I appreciate this. I just want to draw you back a bit and ask you. So there are your brothers and you, and how it affected you, and how you are in therapy right now, which I'm glad is working out fine for you.
Yes, it is.
Because that's all I care about right now, you getting better. Yeah, but then again, what I would love to ask is, in your course of, adulthood, in this adulthood journey, did you meet somebody, or perhaps a man, or have you met men who have, because of this same thing you're complaining, this trauma, should I use it? Yes, this whole thing, the remnant of whatever it is that their mothers or even fathers sometimes must have instilled in them without even knowing. Did you get a feel of it? Did it
Yes,
affect you
yes,
somehow?
yes,
Can you tell us a
absolutely.
story
I
of
I
certain
met
places where it affected you so much that you had to, bust out like this? The story.
I met couple of guys. I had close contact with one in particular for a very long time. And because I didn't know better then, I did not understand how to handle it then. It was what? I think 3 years, 2 years ago, actually, I started analyzing. I started sitting, I started understanding, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to the root of this and I'm going to find out what. So, my previous partner, I did something, and I don't think he understood why I did what I did then, and I do not know if he ever will. So I I trusted. I was like, I need to find out the root. Why have you emotionally, psychologically, mentally abused me this long? I need to find out why. Where is it coming from? Because sometimes it's like, in my head, I'll be like, do you actually know what you're doing? And then there's this thing that would just hit me. You're older than me. You definitely know what you're doing. I got into the relationship really, really early. I was what, 18 going on 19. No, 17 going on 18 actually. I got into it super early, super, super early, which is funny because I still don't want to say so many things about that relationship yet. Or even in the future. I don't think it's not necessary because I know better now and I know I will never ever be there again. But right from the onset, there were so many actions, and then men that come out from households where they have instilled in them just make money, and then we have the boys' mom, and then we have that they become manipulative, they become abusive, they become what's the word, narcissistic. So, and then there's a borderline between avoidant detachment style, because there's the avoidant detachment, there's the anxious attachment, there's the fearful avoidance. These are categories of people out there. I don't know. And then I started reading. And then I started reading what, 5 years ago? Yeah, I go back to reading because before I went into my undergrad, I was reading and writing. I was writing on Wattpad. I was writing romance novels and all of that. But I was reading a lot because my mom had a really cool, rich library. I would go and pick it. I read Tim LaHaye when I was in secondary school. Why You Act the Way You Do. The Rocky, Choleric, Sparky Fling. But I read all those books. So when I encountered one, because these were things I was reading in books, I was like, yeah, it's okay, maybe. And then I was coming from, I didn't have enough. The whole boundary system was zero. You get, if people want you to do something for them, try and be kind, try and be good, compromise. But too much of everything is bad, okay? Please, to everybody listening, do not teach your kids how to be overly compromising, overly forgiving, overly sacrificing, because they would lose their sense of self in that journey. Trust me, they would. I'm speaking from experience. So I got into it really, really early. And then it was crazy. It was a whole lot of lies, cheating, gaslighting, manipulation, disrespect.
In this
And then it got
relationship?
to, in my previous relationship, it got to a point I actually asked him, I was like, why do you hate me? Why do you treat me like you hate me? What is going on? Is there something I can do? How can I make you stop lying? How can I make you stop cheating? I did all of that. And then if not for therapy, because I started therapy 3 years ago, if not for therapy, even inside therapy, I would be discussing with my therapist, like, and then she said something that actually hit me. She was like, what makes you think it is because of you? You're blaming yourself for all his actions. What if it's just who he is? At that point, it was as if I stopped it, because growing up, my brothers would be angry, and then I would feel like I did something. And then my mom would be like, go and ask your brother what's making them angry. You get? I'd be like, but she made their emotional state our responsibility. Do you get? So imagine when you're coming from a household like that, you then pick on partners that it just affects your decision making in summary. It does. It affects your decision making in summary. It just hits you. And then you pick wrong friends, you pick wrong partners. It hits you real bad. And then for everyone listening out there, it's not late. When you wake up, you wake up. It's crazy. It's crazy. People might be like, oh, why did you stay for so long? Because you were holding on to the hope that I was holding on to the hope that maybe one day you change. But it then dawned on me like, you're not changing anytime soon, and you're never gonna change. At least not for me. I've made peace with that. You know what? You can go be whoever you want to be to whoever you want to be to. Bye. It's not my fault because I have done everything. And at a point in time, it was almost like, is it me? I remember one time I reached out to one of his then friends. I was like, maybe it's me. I still, after all through the years of abuse, I still thought I was the problem. I remember reaching out to one of his friends. I was like, maybe it's me. Because I transitioned from, I never used to argue with my siblings. Like I said initially, I would just talk to them. I'll be like, well, you did this to me and you did it. According to my older sister, you're too classy. She would say, you're too classy to argue. You don't argue, you don't talk back. You just drop one line bomb and you step back. My siblings knew me for that. They hated getting into squabbles with me because I would stand and I would argue with it. I would always put them in front of their words. I wouldn't make them argue with me. I would make them argue with what they said and what they did. So it's like they're fighting themselves. I'm like, okay, so if you're saying you did this to me and I'm saying, okay, I did the exact same thing to you, so why are we complaining? It should be normal. So I remember I reached out to one of his friends then and I was like, I think I'm the problem. I don't even recognize who I am anymore. I never used to scream, never used to shout, never used to do but I started screaming because I was pushed to the wall. I was pushed to the corner. I was pushed to the back. I started screaming. I started fighting back because I wanted to survive, and then I just shut down. I kept quiet. My then partner didn't even see the silence. When your partner does not even know you, he doesn't even like you, not to talk of love you, to notice the shift. I stopped complaining about everything he was doing for months. I stopped arguing. I stopped fighting back. I would just answer monosyllabically. And in his mind, he thought he won. I was in therapy 1.5 years at that. He thought he won. Because he was like, okay, yeah, I can keep cheating, I can keep lying, I can keep deleting the text messages, I can keep sending my nudes, I can keep, I can keep doing a whole lot, I can keep telling her a whole bunch of stuff, I can keep disrespecting her. And there was a day he made a statement to me. It was like, you need to understand that I am superior to you. I'm like, excuse me? What did you just say? And that just hit me because I was like, what did you just say? And he said it again and I then laughed. I laughed on the call and I was like, you really have no respect for me. You have zero regard for me. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm done with this conversation. Bye. And I hung up the call and I stood under the shower. And then for children like that come out of households like that, I remember when I told my mom I was in therapy, she was like, you're paying that much to do this? You can't talk to your staff. Like, so what? You guys would judge? You guys would laugh? What exactly would you guys do for me? I mean, I had you guys in my life and somehow I still got to this point. So I am going to look for external help. And my mom was like, you shouldn't pay this much. I was like, I'm fine. It's like, what exactly are you going through that you don't want to tell us that you're paying this much? She'll be like, I'm fine, Mom. I'm okay. We have this I'm fine mentality. I'm fine. I'm good. I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm fine. We have, we don't want people in because we're like, it's our fault. Within ourselves, we're blaming ourselves. And that is exactly how I left that previous relationship. I was like, I don't actually blame him. I take full responsibility. If I had enough self-respect, enough self-worth, enough self-love, I should have left the relationship the very first year. Shouldn't have stayed longer than 2 seconds after I found out what happened. Because, okay, a mini, this is just, I'm going to release a little bit of 1%. So in the first year we started dating, he, 8 months into the relationship, every single morning and night love message that I would send to him, he would edit it and change the male pronouns to female pronouns, and he would send it to another girl. Yes. And I held the phone. I remember, and this is coming 2 months after I had just given him my virginity. Crazy, right? He had access to everything about me, my ATM, my card, my money. I wasn't asking him for nothing. Even till I left the relationship, I wasn't asking him for nothing. Zero. In fact, I was given. overly giving, because I thought I was of the notion that you had to do something to get love. You have to do something for people to be nice to you. You have to sacrifice, compromise, allow peace to reign, allow people have their way. It was a train of mental, emotional, psychological abuse. And bear in mind, I also went through the whole body shaming phase, but the people he was messing around with online and probably offline, they were bigger than me. It's crazy. At that point, I realized that, okay, it's not you, but he never liked you from the beginning. So I told myself and my therapist, I'm like, you know what? It's not even his fault. It was my fault. I allowed all of this. If I had my core value system of being good enough to receive, I don't have to serve to be loved. I don't have to give something to be loved. I am not responsible for my partner's emotions, for anybody's emotions. I'm responsible for me. I wouldn't have been in that position for that long, because I was there for a very long time. And you know me personally, so I'm very sure you're aware that I was there for a very long time.
You were actually. I mean, this whole thing is all new to me.
In carrying the mantle. I was very silent in my friends, my family, nobody knew the mantle I was carrying. He knew the mantle I was carrying. He was aware, but nobody else knew. And then there was this, because I was a naive teenager. And I was of this note. We had this conversation, and I'm somebody, I tend to keep to my word a whole lot. And if I can't, I would profusely apologize for it and say, I'm so sorry, I cannot make it, this, that. And then I made this promise when we started the previous relationship. I was like, no third parties. I'm not going to tell anybody what is going on in here, and you didn't, it was fine. And do you know, even till now, my immediate family, even my clique of friends, they have zero idea what I went through. It's just me and my therapist and God. Because even when I would cry, and then I would pray. Oh Lord, I would pray. Oh, I think heaven had a slot for me. Heaven had a slot for me because God had a way of not leaving me. And that's another thing. So my mom instilled the pray about everything and anything, I told her, I was like, Mom, the one good thing I can beat my chest and say you give to me that I would give to any other person out there is prayer. If my thumb is paining me, I'm praying about it. Oh Lord, this thumb is paining me. Just make it go away. I pray about everything. So I had nothing but prayer and tears and therapy in my previous relationship. Zero third parties. Zero. Didn't say nothing. And then the reason why I wasn't speaking to my then family members was because I wanted them to still have respect for him. I remember when I called my mom and I was like, okay, Mom, I am single. And she was like, do you want? I was like, no, I'm fine. I don't want, nobody should call anybody. Everywhere should be quiet. Please just stay your day. I'm fine. I'm in therapy. Okay. It's past. It's gone. To the point that my mom actually thought I was jazzed. You know how bad it was? My mom thought I was JAZZED. It was her. And then that was because I didn't have
so that means you both got into this relationship so seriously that both parents knew each other or knew you guys were together?
Yes.
Oh, wow,
I was at his family's house for a while. I've been there I was there like 3 times or twice or 3 times. I think I know all his siblings and his mom, his dad.
So it
I think
was a serious relationship.
Yeah, it was my previous relationship. His mom knew my dad, and I mean they spoke on call one time or so. And then my mom said something. My mom said, "You trusted that family so much more than you trusted us." To the point that the one time you called for help, because they know me. Even my friends and acquaintances, they know me. I do not call out for help. I try to figure it out on my own. If I have to dig into the ground, I would dig into the ground. If I have to pull down the heavens, I would pull down the heavens, And the one time I called for help, it wasn't to my family members. It was to his family members because I thought, emphasis on thoughts, I had built enough relationship with them, spent time with them, conversed with them to be taken as, a daughter, And then it was a 1-hour call, Amanda. I kid you not. There I was. Wow. After how many years? More than 5 years. Mm-hmm. More than 5 years, less than 10 years. Let's leave it at that. Not to put so much information out there. For the very first time in the history of my entire life, I called for help. And it wasn't to my mom, it wasn't to my sister, it wasn't to anybody. It was to his family members. And what happened on that call, and bear in mind, before I did that call, I had stopped crying for like a month. I was no longer crying. I was researching. All my tabs were open. I was researching when your partner displays this. I was researching narcissistic tendencies. And then I didn't even know what a narcissist was till I started typing on Google. He does this, he says this, he says this. What does this mean? You know when you cannot talk to any other person but online, and you start looking. I started reading books. I started researching. I was like, what is it me or is it him? If it's me, I'm in therapy. And then I would come back and then apologies. Ooh, that moment when you catch your partner lying and cheating, and then you end up apologizing for confronting them and causing disharmony in the relationship. I was at that point. I was also there. I just caught you lying. You should be apologizing, but somehow the tables would spin and I would be the one to apologize for confronting. It was like that. So, and then the one time I called, I called, and then when his dad made a statement, he sat down on that call. His dad was on that call for an hour blaming me. I was like, what? I ended that call. And I made sure I didn't say much on the call. The only thing I remember saying was, thank you very much for your time. My mom didn't train me to teach any grown man how to treat me. And then his mom sent me a message after the call. It was like, thank you for forgiving your friend and stuff. Just one line. And that just showed me all I needed to do. It showed me everything I needed to do. It showed me. And then his dad, he was like, oh, you need to stop crying. You need to stop trying to cut off people from his life. And I was like, I'm telling you, he's cheating on me with these people. He's lying, manipulating, gaslighting, using me, my finances, my money, my time with these people. And you're telling me I need to stop crying. And then there was one example his dad gave, and his dad was like, oh, even him, if his wife sees another lady on his lap, she wouldn't complain. And I was like, what? You say? Okay. And then I remember coming out of my lab that day, and I sat down on the bench at the park. I went to run because I work out a lot, especially when I have a lot in my mind. I go to the gym or I run. So I ran around the park, and I sat down one day, and then this quite matured white lady sat down there, and I was like, hi. And I just started talking for the first time I was talking to a stranger. And I was safe talking to her because she didn't know me. I didn't know her. We were just running around the park, and we needed to catch our breath. And I started confiding. I started from the first year. I started listing out. She was like, and then it got to a point, when I told her, I was like, he would even be telling these ladies that I wouldn't mind him cheating and stuff like that. And she was like, what? Do you have a mom? I was like, I do. Have you spoken to her? I was like, no, my mom is going to blame me. And honestly, I was of the notion that my mom would blame me because growing up, my mom blamed me for my brothers. She was like, oh, he was angry. He did this. Okay. He locked it up because you did not. And why didn't you say it nicely? Why didn't you? I already knew. So I was already of the notion. And that was another reason why I didn't confide in my family members, because I was coming from a family that if the boys did anything wrong, the girls are blamed one way or the other, even if we are not in the house. I remember one time I was in secondary school, SS2, closed from school, went to lesson, came back from lesson, and we had cooked, but our second born had finished it because he's a really big eater. So he finished it, and then our first one came back and he didn't have anything to eat. And then, somehow my mom found a way to blame me and my sister for not cooking enough, that we should have. And bear in mind, I come from a really big, we are big eaters. I still eat a lot now, and our pot is usually very big. So our second one came home and he ate, and he brought his friend home and they ate and they left. He didn't even... See, our second born didn't think that our firstborn would. He didn't even consider that our firstborn is going to come back and have something to eat. He didn't think about that. Me and my sister finished from secondary school, went to lesson, stayed till 6:30, came back home. My mom was already ranting. Why did the girls not cook enough? But I was like, yo, how is it our fault that the second son brought his friend home, ate almost all the food, did not leave anything for the firstborn? How?
Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Cha from Capital FM in Nairobi, Kenya, and you're listening to My Life Continues Everyday podcast with Amanda Ello.
I'm living good life, no stress and no strife. Every day I keep moving up. Monday to Sunday, steady balling. If you can have one, the chap one knows.